often think of China as monolithic. China thinks X, they will say, or China wants Y. We just did it. But it misses this crucial fact. China is made up of more than 1.3 billion individuals with their own needs, wants, and expectations. My next guest has spent years documenting at least some of those people's stories, the residents and workers on a street in Shanghai whose name translates into the Street of Eternal Happiness. That's also the name of the book that NPR's Shanghai correspondent Rob Schmitz has written. It's about what he found out talking to the people on his street. It's eye-opening. Listen in. Rob, pleasure to have you on.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So when people think about China, there is a tendency to have two views nowadays. One is China is about to overtake the United States. It's going to be the largest economy in the world. They're going to eat our lunch. The other is that China is crashing. It has accumulated this enormous debt. It's unsustainable. Just as Japan careened to a halt, it's going to do that. Which do you think is an accurate portrayal?
I think both of them are. For the last 30 years, we've seen a country where everyone was on the same page when you look at what they dreamed about, and that was, I want to make money. The government had the same dream. We want to improve our GDP growth. But now, after those 30 years, around half of the country now live in urban areas. They've achieved this dream of becoming a middle-class citizen, and their dreams are changing. Those dreams are going beyond just financial improvement. They're going to spiritual enlightenment. They're going to justice, equality, freedom, moving your children to abroad so that they can see the rest of the world. So these dreams are spreading right now, and I think that what you're seeing is an interesting kind of psychological tapestry that's starting to form in China.
So Xi Jinping talks about a Chinese dream.
Right.
And it's meant to, in a way, be similar, I suppose, to the American dream. Does that phrase really resonate in China? And what do the Chinese think when they think of the Chinese dream?
You know, right now we've got a candidate for president here in the United States with a motto that says, "Make America Great Again." If you substitute America with China, that's basically the Chinese dream. It's to make China great again. And that is Xi Jinping's goal. But I think that when you look at what people are actually dreaming, what individual Chinese are actually dreaming, they're not really dreaming about a unified China or a China that rises on the global stage. What they're thinking about are, for example, having equal rights between urban and rural Chinese. They're thinking about property rights. A lot of people are scared about losing their home in case a developer comes through and wants to build something, and they really have few rights with that. They're thinking about following a religion or sending their children to an American university. These are the dreams that I am hearing about when I go up and down my street in Shanghai.
Do you hear a dream about democracy?
That, I think, I would say, has always been a dream among the educated elite of China. It is still something that people are talking about. But I think that there are other dreams that need to be fulfilled and realized before people start to focus on that in some ways when you look at the whole of China.
What did the people on your street tell you about China as a global power? And particularly, I mean, the sort of, not just politically, but culturally. Do they think it's going to rival the United States?
I think most young people that I know on the street are telling me that they would like China to have a cultural influence on the rest of the world. They see their own traditional culture as a very valuable one. China has thousands of years of history, depending on who you talk to. And this is something that I think most Chinese are very proud of. It's something that determines how they behave and how they act, how they treat their mother and father. You've got thousands of years of literature and thinking and philosophy. This is something that I think up to now has been contained inside the borders of China, And I think, as China becomes more powerful economically, we will see a larger influence, I think, on the rest of the world from a lot of the ideas that have come out of China throughout history.
And you point out that China's millennial population alone is larger than the entire U.S. population.
Right.
So one has to assume that, young people always have a bigger impact.
They do.
That China's young people will be hearing from them.
I think that the current leadership is around 60 years old, 70 years old. The difference between that generation and the generation that are now in their 30s and 40s is vast. It's huge. They don't see the world in the same way at all.
Describe the difference.
Well, I think that younger people in China, they're more interested in the rest of the world. They're more open to ideas, not only from the West, but from all over the world. They travel more. They're interested in speaking English. And they embrace, new ideas very easily. I think that China will, after centuries, millennia of looking inward and looking at itself, it is already starting to look outward. And I think when it does, I think that could very well be a very good thing for the rest of the world, because I think China has a lot of really good things to share with the rest of the world.